And we are live. Hello, everyone. Hi, Kent.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad. I've got echo.
Uh-oh. Oh, we didn't have an echo before.
Oh, there we
Uh,
go. I think I fixed. No, what's happening? Oh, see, always tech issues.
no, no. Maybe I should put on headphones, but we didn't have this problem before we started going live. So, but let me see if I can find where I put my headphones.
There's no echo. The people are saying there's no echoes. It's just on air end. That's interesting. I love it.
I lost my headphones. I don't know where they are. So, darn, it's still pretty bad for you, huh? Are you hearing my voice echo?
Yeah, let me just
Or are you hearing your own voice echo?
both.
Both. Oh. Well, that is oh, you know what? You're watching the YouTube video, aren't you?
Yeah, but I don't have a tab open with the YouTube open. That's the
Oh.
thing, right? Figure it out.
Huh. Yeah. Um,
Right. Let me stop
I
sharing
don't think that
this.
there's an echo on the YouTube live stream. People are
I've
saying,
removed the share screen.
yeah, people are saying that they hear it just fine. So it's your machine somehow.
Right.
Are you hearing an echo still?
Let me see. Doo-doo. Okay.
Is it a pretty delayed echo?
It was, yeah, it's pretty delayed.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like you had the YouTube video open up then. So,
Right. As we figure things out, I'm going to
we're
close all the other tabs.
somebody is saying that we should run it in debug mode.
Right. I have no tab open. There's like no possible way that I could be hearing anything. Debs is echoing.
That's interesting. Some people are saying that they hear an echo, but most people are saying they don't hear any echo at all. And do you have Discord open? Maybe you've got it playing in Discord somewhere?
You are a genius. Who is that person that said that? Oh my God, it's always Discord's fault. Let me see. Let me
Well,
see.
I'm glad that you worked it out. That's good. We can pretend to that this was never happened, and you can just start from this from the start. I can't hear you because you're muted.
Right. Everybody, tell me that this works because, like, literally,
Oh, one person who said that they heard an echo also had to open.
so that was on their end.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay. That's really weird because I closed everything. There was nothing open. I'm
Except for
like, why
Discord.
does, yeah, but why would Discord just decide to play on its own? Like, what's that about?
Yeah, that's
Who gave
kinda
it permission? You see what? So everyone, before we started this, I said to Kent, I absolutely hate doing the technical side of things because something always goes wrong. And today I was super prepared. I pressed the go live button. I had everything like ready, the banners, the whole things, and bang, Discord messes it up. Oh my god. So now I've lost my tabs that I had open, all my preparation work. Let's see if I can, get that back again. But while we do that, thank you everyone for joining. I really appreciate you all for taking your time out of your day to be here. And I did look at a few of you in the chat telling me where you're from. I seen Argentina, Colorado. I seen UK and it stopped raining. And then I'm in Spain. Kent's in Utah. Am I right in Utah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got India and I saw Germany as well. So everyone else, throw in the chat.
Armenia,
Armenia.
Canada,
Wow.
Atlanta,
Nice. This is
Brazil,
cool.
Nigeria, nice. Ukraine, America, Redmond, Ukraine again, USA. Hello, Kent from, I think is that Hindi? Is that the right way to say that? Awesome. Cool. Yeah, it's good to be here, Debbie. Thank you for having me.
I would like to just say, I mean, everybody should know who you are, Kent, because you're like the god of testing, in my opinion. I know I'm putting you up there, right? No pressure. I learned all my testing from you way back in the day. But I'd love you to just do an introduction, a little bit of who you are, if you'd like to do that.
Yeah, sure. Is it okay if I share my screen and I can show a
Yeah,
couple of visuals to help with that? Um,
go for it.
Share screen. And we want
And we didn't practice this.
yeah, there we go.
Okay,
Yeah,
add to
so
stage, and there we go.
I created testingjavascript.com years ago, and the testing trophy that some people might be familiar with. And yeah, this has just been the way that a lot of people have been learning how to test their JavaScript applications for a long time. I have to call out the elephant in the room that this does actually use Cypress instead of Playwright, but I'm excited to share that we are working on that. And epicweb.dev is where I'm producing a lot of full stack content, and on here we have the web application testing workshop. And that I use Playwright, and I love Playwright, and it's just fabulous. Strongly recommend people use Playwright. And also, Artem is the testing whiz over at Epic Web as well. And we were going to have a mocking workshop from him in the next like 2 weeks. It's going to be awesome. And he's basically taking testing JavaScript module by module and converting it to workshops with on Epic Web. So that, like, stay tuned on here. We do have a workshop that is about full stack testing, but we'll get to a workshop from Artem that like goes even deeper on that as well. So that's what I do. And right now I am in the middle of a big promotion for epicreact.dev, where people can get really, really great at React and the latest of everything React. And there is no testing workshop in here because this testing workshop would be the same thing that I would teach over there. So we just have this one. But I am using Playwright a lot in the learning environment, and that's kind of what I wanted to show today. So that's who I am. I am a full-time educator, and I like to teach people how to test, build full stack apps, and use React to the fullest.
Nice. That's cool. Right. I'm going to actually do something now. I'm going to share something that crossed my mind. I don't even know this is going to work because we practiced this earlier, then I closed it down. So let's see if we can make it work. But this caught my eye. I was like, watching. Well, actually, the Twitter message came through, and then like, what you've got to watch this. So I started watching it, and I couldn't stop laughing. I thought it was the most hilarious thing ever, and I want to share. And then we'll go back and talk a little bit about why Playwright, about why end-to-end testing, a little bit of kind of full stack. You talk about full stack testing and where does end-to-end testing fit into everything else. We'll come back to that. We're gonna have some fun for the next couple of minutes. So
I want to challenge people as they are watching this to like pay attention to the lyrics and see if you can catch the part that's relevant to our discussion about testing.
exactly. You might all think I'm crazy. Right, here we go. All right, I'm hoping that I'm going to turn my microphone off just in case, but I'm hoping the sound works. You ready?
Oh, Debbie, I don't know. Sorry to interrupt. I don't know if it's bad for everybody else, but it's extremely choppy. I don't think it's worth watching if it's going to be choppy like that. I think
It's really choppy, is it?
yeah,
Oh,
when you share your screen, it yeah, it like on Zoom, it gives you an option to share something where you can actually watch a video. But yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. It's too choppy to be enjoyable.
yeah. Right. Well, I'm going to put it in there. Stop motion. Let's see if I can fast forward. Well, we'd have to put the captions on. I think it's about here.
Yeah, it's yep, right here.
Yeah, right
There it
there.
is.
I watched it well. Think test that we need to guess. See what
No,
passes
that's
pixel
not
test.
quite right. It's I'll sing it for you. Test tabs waiting, no need to guess. See what passes, fix all the rest.
Right, the link is in the chat. Go watch that yourself in your own time. It's a very cool video. What made you decide to create a crazy video like that?
Oh my goodness. So, I I don't know, like, I remember, so first of all, the lyrics for the song were generated by ChatGPT, and then I,
Mm.
gave a lot of feedback, and we went back and forth with ChatGPT, and then, I made some hand edits to make the lyrics, and then the song itself, I wanted to be, um, in the style of, the Spider-Verse because I just thought I really like Spider-Verse, and so it's like adjacent, I guess, from that, style. And so, yeah, so I don't know exactly where I got the idea. It was like the morning of the launch, that I thought like, "Oh, it'd be pretty cool to have a like." Oh, I know what it was. So before I start my live streams, I always have some music, that's just like, like the startup of this, live stream as well had like a little bit of music and countdown and stuff. So I've got something like that, and I thought, oh, I should have like a, special music just for this. And actually, the thumbnail for my thing was like a Spider Verse themed thing as well. So I was like, okay, I need a Spider Verse song. And then I thought, oh, it would be cool if it had lyrics too. So that's why I like put the lyrics together and things. Um, and then at some point last week, I was like, this is actually a pretty cool song. I think I'm gonna make a music video out of this. And so, I I couldn't think of anybody to ask to be my cameraman. So all of the camera work done in there was, a drone that I just like told
Whoa.
follow me, and yeah, and it followed me around while I like had my phone in my pocket playing the song so that I could sing along with it.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I did it in, like, 3 hours, on Thursday or Friday last week, just,
Wow.
I had a like, a bunch of different changes of clothes in my car, and I would just change and do it again somewhere else, and yeah, it was kinda fun.
So if you ever like want to get away from testing and web development, you've got a different career just waiting for you to take off.
Well, yeah, hopefully I can stick with what's working pretty well here. So, we've got
Okay.
Dan in the chat asking what the heck this meeting is about.
That's very true. So going to my point was this testing tab. Tell us about the testing tab, how it works. Can you give us a demo or show it?
Yes, yeah, let me give a demo, um, and, yeah, do the screen over here. So, yeah,
Oh,
with the professional web development, workshop series, Epic Web, and with Epic React and all the workshops that I've got in there, you're expected to, put together a lot of different, UIs for people, or for the apps that you're building and the things that you're learning. And it helps a lot if you can actually test, uh, whether you did it correctly. And so I have, some tests that are written that are like not the sorts of tests that you would probably want to write yourself. They're testing implementation details because I'm actually trying to test your implementation and stuff like that. But are really good for validating that you actually, know, what you're supposed to learn from this particular, exercise. And I also actually use Playwright in the web application testing, and that's a little separate. But yeah, this is the workshop learning experience. You have this is the performance workshop, and you've got some, relatively simple, um, exercises here where we have the test tab, and that's just going to run some tests right in your browser right here, and you can see the results, and it is doing some relatively harmless, hacky things to verify that you did things right. And I'm going to cheat here really quick and run it with the solution, and now everything is working, and you can actually see the result of everything. It's pretty interesting, and it's only really useful for these really, really simple examples where I've got a single file that is the entire application, and it literally is appending itself to the DOM and everything. So there's not really an app here. It's just like a single page sort of thing. And so this sort of thing is pretty easy for me to just test, and it runs directly in the browser and everything. But then we get to some more complicated stuff like code splitting as a performance optimization. And code splitting is interesting because I can't just do this in the browser. This requires like tools and everything. And so in here, here, let me just squeeze this up. We've got this playground directory, which is where all of your work is. And here we've got like Vite going, and we have a script to run the dev script and everything. And we have a test script, and this uses Playwright test, and it has a simple test in here to verify that you're code splitting properly. So we go to the home page, wait for everything to finish loading. And what we're actually doing here is you click on this checkbox, and this globe loads up. And that globe is like a lot of code, and so we want to code split that. We're going to lazy load that. And so that's what's going on here in this. And so we just wait for everything to finish loading, and then we find that checkbox. We verify that we see a loading state when we check that checkbox, and then verify that a resource for the globe was loaded when that happened. And so to run this, we have the test tab. And this is different when you've got like a full app that you need to run. I can't just run it in the browser like I was doing with the other ones. And so this will actually spawn the test process and pipe in the response or the standard out from that test process right here. And this should be very familiar. This is what Playwright output looks like, because that's exactly what it's doing, is just spawning the test process and sending back all of the data there. And then, of course, if we do this on the solution, then it should work, and it does. Da, da, da. So
nice. And you get the report as well.
Sorry?
You get the Playwright report as well.
Yes. Yep. You can pull up the report. That I should probably maybe I shouldn't mention this, but the I want the report to go in like a temp directory. I don't want it to clutter up what they're doing. And so yeah, the path through the report kind of looks funny, but yeah, the report does work. It's
no
cool.
Judging.
And
that's very cool.
I should mention also, this isn't something that typically learners are going to need to do, but when I'm developing the tests, I also have this script. Let's see, yeah, it's in here. This script that allows me to very easily run a specific test of one of all of these different exercises. Each one of these has its own test directory. And so if I run node epic shop test, then I can go through all of these and say, okay, I want to run the eager loading and the problem and the solution and transitions as well, or whatever. I hit enter, and it'll just run each one of those for me. And to take it even, and it will output the results if there's an error. And I can actually take it even further and say, I want to run exercise for step 1 solution, and then I'll pass the UI flag. And now I can actually pull up the UI like this. And that's how I'm typically developing as I'm working through these exercises. I also do custom error messages for like, this is a common mistake that people make. And this is probably the reason that this is failing is for this. And so that's what the little emoji, this is Alfred the alert emoji.
Nice.
To tell people, hey, you've messed this up or whatever. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Playwright is really enabling me to do these lower level tests where I need to like verify browser resources or resources are being loaded in the browser at the specified time, or I also I need to verify pending states for things as well. And so I'll make any request take extra long so I can have time to verify that pending state and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's pretty fun. And it actually, like, that is particularly interesting because if it's fast enough, then React won't show the pending state, because React has a whole bunch of stuff inside, a whole bunch of logic inside of it that says if it's, in a certain amount of milliseconds, I'm not even going to show the suspense boundary. And so Playwright giving me the ability to really fine tune how quickly different requests are going to take, or how long they'll take, really enables me to make sure that those pending states are showing up without having to like dive into React and do some sort of mocking or nonsense there. It's pretty cool.
Very cool. I have a question here from Aniket. I'm going to put it there. Is there a link for the repo and how Kent added the diff tab in the browser?
Yeah. Okay. So the diff tab is going to show you the difference between here. Let's go back here. So this will show you the difference between your work in progress and the solution. This is kind of like, I made a typo, I'm not sure where it is, sort of thing. It's not intended for you to be able to just like look at the answer and cheat or anything. But yeah, is there a link for how I did that? I gave a live stream last week when I launched Epic React, where I walked through how I built this whole workshop experience.
Wow.
And so people can go to my channel to find that live stream where I launched Epic React and walked through all of this stuff. It's all open source. And
Nice.
actually anybody can go through these workshops free. The test and diff tabs are a paid upgrade. So you have to have a license to the workshop to be able to use these. But you can like read through all the material. You can use the playground and everything. The videos are also paid upgrade. But yeah, it's a pretty cool thing if anybody wants to try it out.
Very cool. I'd love to know if anyone in the chat has already tried that out or is interested in trying that out. I definitely want to try it out.
Yeah, I'd love to hear if anybody here has Epic React. High five to you.
Yeah, I have the previous one, like the old version.
Yeah.
Very cool. If anyone else has questions in the chat, do put them in there. Any questions for Kent or myself or just on Playwright, let us know. And yeah, really cool. He's too poor for that. Oh, I'm sorry, Magnus, but there's free material there, so don't worry. You can go to the free stuff. Like, it's totally
and
cool.
actually also I have 2 tutorials on Epic React that will give you like the full experience for free. One is the get started with React. That's the first 4 exercises of the first workshop. And then the other one is build React hooks, where we build use state and use effect from scratch. So it's pretty cool. We've got Andrew over here who's got V1 and V2. Andrew, I'd love for you to mention what you like about V2 that is like makes it an upgrade for you in your experience, if you've tried it yet. One thing that I failed to mention though, in the UI, it actually shows you the other people who are working on the workshop along with you. And right now there are 77 people working on various exercises in the Epic Workshop app, which is pretty fun.
So it's like when you go for a cycle, remote cycling, and you like see all the other people trying to cycle up the hill, and you're like, oh, I can do it, I can do it. It's like pushing you on.
It really, and actually here, I'll share my screen again just to so people get an idea of what I'm talking about. So it's this little number down here is how many people are working on. Oh, sorry. Deb, could you?
Oh, I've got to do the thing again. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this little number down here is going to show how many people are on. And if you expand it, it'll show, it organizes the people in the order of whether they're working on the same workshop you are right now. And so it looks like nobody's actually on the performance workshop right now. But yeah, we've got somebody on the React APIs and React hooks. I've got the full stack testing over here, so I'm appearing in 2 places at once.
Look at that.
But yeah, so it's pretty fun. Like I actually feel like feeling like you're not doing something by yourself is actually pretty significant. And we also do have the chat over here, so you can see, oh, here are all the things people are talking about
Open on
in this
Discord
workshop.
as well. Look at
Yeah.
that.
So, but yeah, we're here to talk about tests. And yes,
Yes.
the test tab is awesome.
And we have a specific question on, is there workshops that are specific to Playwright, or is everything developing the app and Playwright?
Yeah, so in Epic React, everything, Playwright is only used in the test tab for a couple of the workshop exercises that need like a full server and everything like that. And actually, I also failed to mention, so the exercises that just run in the browser, the tests run right in the browser. They don't need a full Playwright thing. I actually still use Playwright for those in CI. So I will pull those pages up in Playwright and make sure that those tests are passing as well. So Playwright is just so versatile. It's great.
Everywhere.
Yeah, and then if you want to learn Playwright, then that's what the Epic Web Workshop is all about, the full stack testing. I teach Playwright. We do, like we start out with a pretty simple test, and we go through authenticated tests and using Playwright fixtures to have an authenticated session and a bunch of other cool things in there too.
Cool. And that's the paid workshop. But I also know you do have some free stuff on Playwright. Am I right? Some live streams, I think.
Yeah. I've streamed a ton. I don't know if I can find any links right now. You probably just search on my YouTube for Playwright, and you'll find stuff for sure. Because I've done a lot with Playwright over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Cool. So yes, there's content for everyone. So you just take and choose whichever one you want.
And that full stack testing workshop too. All of the material is free. So if you can't afford it or whatever, you can go through the material and learn. You won't get the diff tab. You won't get the videos. The test tab actually doesn't really exist in that workshop, because how do I test your tests? Like, it'd be kind of weird. So pretty much it's just like run the tests, and if they pass, then good job. But yeah, so but yeah, you'd be missing out on the diff tab and the videos, but you could still get a lot of the learning from the material itself.
Which is great. If you don't have the money, then you can get things for free. I love that. That's really like just, Kent, you're so kind. I love it. This is a great question from David. What do you mean by saying full stack testing?
Yeah. Here, I'll pop up my screen again. It's easier to do that. So this web application testing workshop you can find at epicweb.dev/workshops, or just click the Pro Workshops up here. And web application testing covers a lot. And in fact, I've got it all open right up here. This is the material. But yeah, so this covers end-to-end testing. This is like pretty simple stuff, getting Playwright set up. And we've got Playwright fixtures for a couple of, the onboarding flow. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, actually. And then we're doing mocking with end-to-end. So we're sending emails, and we're going to mock out the email that's going to be sent by our server. This is actually super interesting how this works. And then authenticated end-to-end tests with a fixture to have a logged-in session. And so then you can do whatever you need to as a logged-in user. And then the rest of this stuff goes, so we start at the top of the testing trophy with the end-to-end test, and we pop down to the bottom and work our way up into integration tests. And so, yeah, that's the full stack testing. This involves a work or an app that is it includes the database all the way up to the React UI in the front end. So that's what I mean when I say full stack testing.
Nice. And when you talk there about you start from the top coming down, how do you normally start like your tests? Are you starting with Playwright? Are you starting with Unit? Are you starting with Component? What are you starting with?
Yeah. So I always start with end-to-end tests with Playwright, and sometimes that's as far as it goes, depending on how serious I am about the project or how complicated some of the pieces are, whatever. But even having just a single end-to-end test gives you just so much confidence, and with like relatively minimal setup with Playwright, it's not all that challenging. And so relative to other things, I don't want anybody who had difficulty setting things up to feel like feel bad. Don't feel bad. It is, but relative to other things that you can do, it's the biggest bang for your buck by a mile. But yeah, so then if my end-to-end tests aren't fine-grained enough for the type of logic that I'm doing, then I pop down here to unit. And I guess I kind of skipped over static, but this is typically the first thing that I do. It's like by default, we're going to be using TypeScript and we're using Prettier and ESLint. Like that's just, I install those tools and then I forget about them. You don't really
VS
do
Code
much.
does it all for you.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I guess to be completely accurate, I start with static, but then I go to end-to-end. And then I jump down to unit for some of the, like, if I have something that's really complicated logic in here, and then I fill in, lots of my tests are going to be integration. I have noticed Playwright is making my testing trophy, at least in what I'm working on. It's making my trophy a little top heavy. I'm doing more end-to-end tests than I used to because Playwright is just getting so much better. But typically my my edge cases or my SAD path sort of tests are going to be at the integration level. But yeah, so that's what I mean when I and typically this is how I teach on the workshop, and this is how I develop and add tests in my own work. Is I do static by default, so TypeScript, Prettier, ESLint, and then I start adding end-to-end tests, and then I jump down to unit and then to integration. Typically,
Because these
sometimes
like
I
trophies
kind of do these too.
and sorry, Ken. The trophies and pyramids are kind of misleading, right? Because people think they have to go up the ladder to get to the top, and it's not. It's like get the trophy first, get the trophy, and then the rest is like, helpful, but the trophy's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's good.
Cool. I'm gonna just put this question up here. What's the difference between running tests in browser engine versus real browser? Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so I'm guessing that this. I'm not positive I follow this question, but what I was talking earlier about how some of the exercises in my workshop will run just directly in a browser like this. So it's literally, this is just an iframe into a special page that runs some JavaScript to test what's on the page. Like there's nothing special, all that. I think it's actually kind of cool, but like it's just literally running in the browser. There's no tools involved here. And it's doing a post message to the parent so that we can know what is failing and whatever. And then for the more complicated stuff that needs tooling and a whole server and everything, this one is going to be more involved in using Playwright as the driver, the browser engine, I guess. So that's the difference there. But they also could be asking the difference between. I honestly, I don't know what else to be asking.
Yeah,
Hopefully that was the question.
hopefully we answered it. If not, like just rephrase it a little bit. But basically, yeah, Playwright is using what is the difference between browser engine, real browser? Yeah, like the engine is it's the same. It's
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to rephrase that, if we didn't answer it, someone's looking for a link to your website, and I don't know which website because you have so many websites now.
Yeah, I've got many. So there's testing JavaScript, and actually here I think I've got the chat open over here. So I'll throw all of these links in, assuming YouTube doesn't think I'm just spamming.
And later I can put it in the show notes and stuff. So if anyone's like doesn't want to have to go through the chat, I can put them in the description, show notes stuff. So you can always come back to that later, which is going to be helpful.
And then here's my personal website there too. So, which is also tested with Playwright.
Yay. Okay, this is I'm just trying questions in different orders, so forgive me if I'm like skipping to your question. It's just like I'm finding one and putting it on there. It's no preference, no order. But have testing friendly applications with data test ID IG. So I think that was the wrong one, but basically someone's asking something about data test ID. Do you use data test ID, Kent?
I follow the guidelines from testing library, which I wrote. So
you follow your own guidelines. I love it.
Yeah, I follow my own guiding principles here. The overarching principle is the more your tests resemble the way your software is used, the more confidence they can give you. And so your users don't know anything about test IDs that like is not relevant to them. And so I avoid these as much as I can. And so there is somewhere on here about the queries, and what the priority of queries should be. And test IDs are the very bottom. They exist for a reason, and they can be really helpful. But really, you should be most of your queries should be role queries if you can, and then label text, and then finally text. But you have to think about, like, how does a blind user use your application, and like make your queries use the same sort of experience that a blind user would have using your application. And so that's why, like, roles are really, really important, and label text as well. Only occasionally do I jump into, like, I'll select an image by its alt text for sure, like make sure that image shows up and that's loaded, whatever. Title, sometimes I will use that. This is for like SVGs and stuff too. But yeah, test IDs, throw that at the bottom. It does exist, it's useful, but avoid it if you can.
And what's really important is, in order to use these, like, get by role, it means that you should have really good HTML. So if you're finding that, like, you're trying to test and you can't get a role, and you need to use a test ID, if you don't have access to your website, then I understand. But if you have access to your website, improve that website and make it more HTML semantic, and it will just save you so much time and effort.
Yeah, honestly, that's one of the things I'm most proud of around what I have done with testing library, is that more applications are becoming more accessible, because if they're not accessible, it's hard to test.
Yeah.
And so people will, like, oh man, this is kind of a pain to test. I guess I'll make it more accessible. That's a win.
Yeah. Just use a button instead of div role button or something, or
Yeah,
just
yeah,
using the right
exactly.
semantic HTML. That's cool. I love this question here, and maybe you can give your opinion, because everything is about opinions here. Nobody has the right answer. Is testing JavaScript more curated to QA engineers or devs?
It's definitely more dev focused. I have had people who are QA engineers take testing JavaScript and get a lot of value out of it. But yeah, I'm a dev, and so I'm going to be teaching toward devs.
Yeah, but we are seeing a lot of QA engineers moving towards the kind of dev testing, and more devs moving towards the testing. So we're seeing it kind of come closer together, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Some interesting question here. Are you using visual regression testing, Kent? Have you ever done that?
I have, yeah, I've done visual regression testing, but it was back in the days when visual regression testing was awful. It was so hard, and so I stopped. And I have just, um, I don't want to say that I haven't built anything that couldn't benefit from visual regression testing. Like, I absolutely have, but I just never felt like it was necessary, or it never bubbled up to the top of my priority list. Let's put it that way. Like, I definitely could have benefited from it in a lot of projects, and even projects that I have now. And even just like take a screenshot of the homepage would be a good, like, smoke test to, like, this changed. Are you cool with that? That would be kind of nice. But yeah, it's just not been something I've dedicated much time to.
Yeah, it's hard. You need time. You definitely need time.
Mm.
Any pointers on component testing?
Ooh, okay. Well, here we're gonna get a little spicy, Debbie.
I know. I brought the question up, but I know the answer. I know what you're going to say, but it's okay. It's okay.
So
Hit me with it.
that's my issue right there with Playwright component testing, which I'm assuming they're asking about specifically, is Playwright component testing. It's not only is it experimental, but there are a couple of, where are these? There are trade-offs, or like known issues or something on here. Somewhere in here, there are some. There's like a list of things that don't work quite yet, and I ran into all of those, and it was just too much for me. So eventually, maybe I'll use Playwright for some component testing, but right now I'm using vtest, and I'm really happy with that. Vtest and testing library. You have the same queries that you have in Playwright as you have with React testing library. So it should feel very familiar regardless of which tool you're using in that way. And then, yeah, eventually, so here, I despise the fact that I have to use a simulated DOM environment when testing components. I really don't like that at all. I would much rather run it in Playwright. But some of the trade-offs that are made currently with in-browser testing components are just too big for me to swallow. Now, something else that's kind of interesting is VTest is working on in-browser testing. Let's see if I can find this browser. Cross no. There. Oh, what the heck just happened? Yeah, there. I think
browser mode experimental. They're experimental.
There it is. Also experimental. See, this is a very exciting time to be around. That everything's being worked on. But this is something that I think would make a ton of sense, because VTest, to me, Playwright is, as far as my perception, is directed toward, I have a server that's serving a document, Playwright point to that URL, and now you can control the browser in that way. Where VTest doesn't necessarily need to have a document. It's just like, I have some JavaScript, I'm going to import some stuff, and I'm going to render that to the environment that is set up for me by VTest. That matches my thinking for component test much better. And I think that Playwright component tests are kind of trying to get Playwright into that world as well, where you don't need a document. But it seems to me that that is not quite ready. I mean, it's labeled experimental. So VTest is already really good at just taking a JavaScript file and executing it and having the simulated DOM environment. Browser mode is going to give us an actual DOM environment, which will be really, really awesome. I haven't actually, or rather, I have tried this. It didn't work for me. I spent all of 5 minutes on it, and I haven't looked into it again. But I expect in the near future, I will be doing component testing with one of these two things. But right now, I component test with the simulated DOM environment with JSDOM, and I don't like it.
So Kent's not happy. Nobody's happy.
No.
Experimental. Everything's a mess with component testing. Just don't test your components.
I am optimistic about the future. Let's put it that way.
And when it comes to the Playwright answer, if anyone is using Playwright for component testing, we're just waiting on more feedback. We can't say that it's out of experimental until we've had enough people kind of say, like, yes, this works, because there's so many use cases that need to be, for us to take that experimental flag away and say, this is the bomb, this is fantastic. We're not going to put something out of experimental and then we have all these bugs, because that doesn't gain confidence. So
I appreciate that greatly. Yeah. Thank you.
We are working on it, or we will be working on it. It's something that is there, so it's not like we're going to just drop it, or at least I hope not. I can't really say because I'm not the engineer on the job, right? That's the engineer's job. But do check out Playwright issues if you want more component things. Make sure you're checking out our issues and saying, hey, component testing, yay, component testing, and play around with it and tell us and give us feedback. That's really important to us.
I should also mention, though, that this is Playwright. So VTest is using Playwright under the hood. So even if VTest ends up being the de facto standard component testing framework, you're still using Playwright anyway.
Yeah, and Playwright uses Vite to do the component testing. So we're all married together.
Boom. Perfect. I actually didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah. That's cool. And then someone said about Angular components. Again, I don't know. Have you ever done Angular?
I did, yeah. Early in my career, I was AngularJS developer, and as a part of, in testing JavaScript, here we go. I have a workshop, use DOM testing library to test any JS framework, and that includes Angular. So yes, you can. The point of this course here was just to demonstrate that your choice of framework should not impact the way that you write your tests. There's like a little bit of setup. No, I don't want to preview. I'm not signed in. Anyway, there's just like a little bit of setup involved with like how you get your component UI onto the page. And that's going to be different based on your framework. But once the component UI is on the page, everything should be exactly the same. And actually, this is open source. So here, let me let me find this. Testing JavaScript. I think that's probably, yeah, here we go. So I'll just show you what the Angular test looks like. This is probably an old version of Angular. Some things are going to be a little different, but this render function is the only thing that differs with all of the examples. Everything else from here down to here is going to be the same regardless of which framework you're using. And that was the entire point of that that course, was just to show like, here's how you do it with Svelte. Here's how you do it with, I think I even have jQuery in here somewhere, and Backbone, and there's Mithril and Knockout and HyperApp and From HTML, Dojo, like everything, and all of them look exactly the same.
Cool.
So yeah, that's
and
beautiful.
Speaking on Angular, Playwright is now in the Angular CLI, so that was just added literally last month or last week. So if you're now, installing or whatever using Angular schematics, you can just choose Playwright and off you go. And Playwright is also now in the Vue docs as a recommended for end-to-end testing. So we've got all the stuff here. All the
Let's go. And this is validating for me too, because the React testing library queries made it into Playwright. So those queries are everywhere now. It's de facto standard, and I'm just so happy about that.
It is, and you made that possible, Ken. That was your feedback to the Playwright team to say, hey, how can we fix this? And working with you, we improved everybody's life, which is really important.
Yes.
Someone asked for a link to that website. Would you throw that link in? That one there that you have. Yeah.
To the GitHub repo?
No, to the Get by Roles, so they can learn about Get by Roles
from
the testing library. You can also learn it from the Playwright website, because we follow the same, as Kent just said. It's the same priority and same principles in our best practice guide. You can see that.
But Playwright does it better. You do. So there are a couple of queries that you have that we don't. Some of them are slightly different, and they're way faster because you're running in an actual browser. Actually, let me take a step back on that. They're probably faster because you're operating at a lower level. The reason that testing library feels slow is because most of people are using testing library in a simulated DOM environment, which is going to be way slower. So if you run testing library in an actual browser environment, then it's going to be very fast. But anyway, some of the APIs that Playwright has for queries are improved upon what testing library did, because you have lower level access to stuff, and which is cool.
Nice. You're so kind. And someone says, do you have any tips using React locators? I would say just use like the Get by Roles and things like that. That's the way we are testing going forward, is always Get by Roles instead of using any other type of locators. Don't use CSS locators. Don't use XPath. Try and make it as close to the user as possible. What does the user see? They don't see your CSS. They don't see your class name. They don't see your data test ID. They don't see the HTML structure. So take that all away. What does the user see? It sees the text. It sees the label. If it's a screen reader,
and the screen reader sees the role. Yeah, exactly. So it's good stuff.
Cool. And I'm just going through some of the questions here. There's a really nice one here. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. Look at this. This is beautiful. You can change the way of everyone testing at a whole new level if you add a dedicated course on Playwright. Artem and Kent, everyone will see a new perspective. I love it. Thank you, Aniket.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not a dedicated course on Playwright, but it is like we've got 3 pretty solid exercises that are Playwright, and Artem is going to get a Playwright course probably next year, is my guess.
Brilliant. And Javier's a QA engineer, so I love having a QA engineer here. And he's asking for any pointers for working with POM and keeping them up to date. Do you do POM, Kent?
Oh man, here we go. Another spicy question. One. Let me see if I can find an article that describes my feelings about page object models. Gleb, how do I spell it?
Baumatov.
Yeah. Page object model. See if I can find. Yeah. No, Wordle page objects. What? No, but this is his blog. Maybe we'll find it. Is there a search on here? Oh yeah, here we go. Page objects. No. I want to find this because it'll give you more information around the way I feel about it than actually, you know what? It might be on the Cypress blog. Cypress blog page object model. That's a tutorial, not on the Cypress blog. Yeah, application objects, application actions instead of page object model. I'm pretty sure this is the article I was thinking about. So I'm going to throw this in here. Hopefully it's the article I was looking at. But then let me describe briefly how I feel about POMs. I don't like them. I think that they create separation between the user's experience and some abstraction that you have put between those two. And with the queries that we have now from testing from testing library from Playwright, your test can now read in a way that even like a non-developer could understand, provided that they know what a role is. So you say, get by role button, name submit, click, boom, I know what I'm doing. I'm clicking on the submit button. Yeah, that makes sense. And so I think that a POM is an unnecessary abstraction on top of your page, especially with the queries that we have now. So there you go.
I'm sorry, Javier. I feel like we just stabbed Javier in the heart there.
It's okay. No, we can all have opinions, and that's what makes things interesting.
Many QA engineers consider Gleb's POM article wrong. POMs are about maintainability, not preconditions. Again, it's hard to say, and I think it depends on the site you're testing, the amount of tests you have. There are times when maybe POM makes sense, and there are times when not. I would say, sorry, Javier, he's crying. I would say, start off not using POMs and only use POMs if you feel like you need to use POMs because you've come into a situation where you need it. If you don't need it, then don't use it. That's at least my advice. If that helps anyone.
Is there like an official Playwright documentation on POMs?
No, because we don't feel like this. We have documentation, of course, right? But we're not saying what you should use, right? So you can say testing multiple roles with POM fixtures, right? That's but basically, you're going to know the website you're going to be using. Do you need to create a before each? Do you need to create a function? Do you need to create you just keep going up, and until you need it, don't use it. If you feel you need it, you'll know. But yeah, there are Playwright POM docs. Check them out, play around with it. I find it super complicated as well, but I'm not testing massive scale applications either. So Javier, you probably have a completely different scenario to us, and therefore are more experienced in that area. And if it works for you, it works for you. We give you all the tools, and you basically use the ones that are best suited for you. But great question.
Very diplomatically said. Well done.
On the spot and all. We only have a few minutes left, and it's been super interesting. If anyone has one last question, throw it in, because this is and even Javier agrees. I love this. Javier is even saying yeah, that's the issue. Very complicated. Yeah, testing can be complicated when you have too many tests. Yeah, this has been super insightful. We shared a lot of stuff there. I will ping you and get all those links to one place so we can put them into this. If you're watching this later, you don't have to go back through the chat to find all the links, everything that we mentioned today, so you can go ahead and read that on your own. Is there any advice you would give, Kent, to anyone who's starting out? If someone's watching this and they're like, I'm not sure about testing, do I start testing? Do I start using Playwright? Anything that you want to give to those people starting out, or people that are unsure of what to do when it comes to testing?
Yeah, I would say that the first key thing that you need to remember is that writing a test is no different from any other type of software that you write. The object of software is to automate things for humans that would be either impossible or just too much work to do manually. And that is exactly what tests are. They're to automate a process which is too much work to do manually, which is anytime there's a change, let's make sure we didn't break anything. And also, some people really like testing as part of their development process, and I love that also. But my main goal with testing is to just automate the process of verifying your application still works after changes. And so it's just regular software, and we have tools for that type of software, just like we have tools for our like building our applications as well. And so you don't have to feel like testing is some sort of special type of software. It's just a different, yeah, it's just software. And then the other aspect of that too is um, your priorities around testing should reflect your return on the investment, just like adding a feature or fixing a bug or writing a test or whatever. All of this takes the same investment or the same currency, which is your time. And so you have to decide what is worth spending your time on. And sometimes testing to make your application more solid and have more confidence in deploying is going to be the biggest bang for your buck of time. And other times it won't be, and that's fine. And everybody's going to be in a different scenario there. I've got like at least 50 articles about testing on my website, so people can go check out kentcdodds.com. In fact, I think I have a page, kentcdodds.com/testing, that lists some of my articles about testing that I think are particularly noteworthy. But yeah, and then the last thing that I guess I would want to make sure to make clear about testing is that you want to test your application the way that it's used. Avoid testing implementation details. If a user doesn't have the ability, and user, by the way, could also be a developer. Like if you're making a REST endpoint or something, then your user is another developer, and you need to consume that endpoint the same way the developer would. But or maybe you're making a component that has a special API. You're going to be using that component the way that the developer is going to use that component. But yeah, just keep in mind, and I have an article about this actually. I say avoid the test user. Go take a look at that one. But yeah, you should just focus on how do your consumers consume the thing that you're producing, and that is your only API into your testing of that thing. That will make your test a lot better.
Nice, beautiful. And I'm going to end with this question. What's the best architecture or practice when developing automated tests? And I'm going to say use Playwright and follow the best practices guide.
Yes, support. Yeah, you've got my support there.
Great. Kent, this has been fantastic. An hour has just flown by just like that. Thank you everyone in the chat for all your questions. It's been insanely great. It's been so much fun. Kent, thanks for joining us. And that has been our Playwright Live, and we will see you at the next one. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.